At 17, my parents kicked me out. You'll beg to come back in a month, my mom sneered as Dad slammed the door. I left, fueled by anger, and never looked back. 9 years later, my phone was flooded with their calls. They found me, but I was strong, independent. Their pleas, talk to us, meant nothing. Their betrayal built me. Now they regret it, but I'm not their daughter anymore. Look, I'm gonna be straight with you all. This whole thing started over something so dumb that it still makes me shake my head 9 years later. Picture this, 17-year-old me, fresh out of high school, working my tail off at Target to save up for community college. Nothing fancy, just trying to get my life together, you know. My parents had this whole vision for my future that basically boiled down to marry the pastor's son from our church, pop out some kids, and live in their backyard forever. No cap, they literally had a little house picked out on their property where they expected me to live. When I told them I wanted to study business and maybe open my own shop someday, you'd think I'd announced I was joining the circus. The final straw came on a Tuesday night in June. I remember it perfectly because I'd just gotten home from my shift, still wearing my red Target polo, counting my tips from helping customers load their cars. Dad was sitting at the kitchen table with a bunch of paperwork spread out, and Mom was doing dishes with that tight-lipped expression she got when she was about to lay into someone. "We need to talk," Dad said, not even looking up from whatever he was reading. "Pastor Williams called today, says his boy Daniel's been asking about you. I should have seen it coming." Daniel Williams was nice enough, but the dude still lived with his parents at 22 and spent most of his time playing video games in their basement. Not exactly my idea of husband material for real. "That's nice," I said, grabbing a Coke from the fridge. "Tell him I'm flattered but not interested." Mom whipped around so fast she almost dropped the plate she was washing. "Not interested? Do you have any idea how blessed you'd be to marry into that family? Pastor Williams practically runs this town." "Maybe so, but I'm not marrying someone just because his dad's got connections. I want to go to college, Mom. I want to build something for myself." That's when Dad finally looked up, and I swear the temperature in that kitchen dropped 10 degrees. "College? With what money? You think that little job of yours is going to pay for anything worthwhile?" "I've been saving up. I've got enough for the first semester at the community college, and I can work part-time while I study." Mom laughed, but not the good kind, the mean kind that made my stomach twist. "Community college? Oh, honey, you're living in a fantasy world. Girls like you don't need college. You need a good husband and a stable home." "Girls like me?" I felt my face getting hot. "What's that supposed to mean?" "It means you're not as smart as you think you are," Dad said, going back to his papers. "And you're certainly not pretty enough to think you can just waltz through life doing whatever you want." I'm not gonna lie, that one hit deep. But instead of backing down, something inside me just snapped. "You know what? Maybe you're right. Maybe I'm not smart enough or pretty enough for your perfect little world, but I'm sure as heck not gonna stick around here and let you remind me of that every single day." The fight that followed was epic. Like, screaming match that probably woke the neighbors, epic. They accused me of being ungrateful, selfish, and throwing away my chance at a good life. I accused them of trying to control me and not caring about what I actually wanted. It went on for like 2 hours, just going in circles. Finally, Mom threw down the dish rag and crossed her arms. "Fine. You think you're so independent? You think you can make it on your own? Pack your stuff and get out. Let's see how long you last without Mommy and Daddy to take care of you." "Are you serious right now?" I couldn't believe what I was hearing. Dad stood up, all 6'3" of him, and pointed toward the stairs. "You heard your mother. You've got until tomorrow morning to pack whatever you can carry and find somewhere else to live. We're done enabling this bratty behavior." "You'll be back," Mom said with this smug little smile. "Give it a month, maybe 2. You'll come crawling back begging us to forgive you. And maybe, if you're lucky, we'll consider it." Update. Hey everyone, thanks for all the supportive comments so far. I know this is getting long, but trust me, it gets so much better. For those asking, yes, I really did leave the next morning with just my backpack and my Target uniform. But here's the thing that's been blowing up my phone lately. Should I tell you what happened when they tried to contact me after all these years? Or do you want to hear about how I survived first? I spent that whole night crying and packing. Everything I owned fit into my old Jansport backpack and a grocery bag. My clothes, my journals, the little jewelry box my grandma gave me before she died, and about $300 in crumpled bills from my Target job. That was it. That was my whole life. The next morning, I walked downstairs to find both my parents drinking coffee at the kitchen table like nothing had happened. Mom looked up when I came in, saw my backpack, and actually rolled her eyes. "Already? Giving up the dramatics?" she asked. "Good. Now go put your stuff back, and we'll pretend this whole thing never happened, but you owe us an apology." "I'm leaving," I said, my voice steadier than I felt inside. Dad snorted. "Sure you are. Where exactly do you think you're gonna go?" "I'll figure it out." "With what money? What job? You think Target's gonna give you enough hours to afford rent somewhere?" Mom was practically giggling now. "Sweetie, you have no idea how expensive the real world is." I pulled out my phone and showed them the Uber I'd called. Guess we'll find out. The look on their faces when that Toyota Camry pulled up outside was priceless. Like they couldn't believe I was actually doing it. Dad jumped up and followed me to the door, but he didn't try to stop me, just stood there with his mouth hanging open. "This is ridiculous," Mom called from the kitchen. "You'll be back before dinner, mark my words. Don't count on it," I said, and walked out. The Uber driver was this older guy named Frank who probably thought I was running away from home, which, technically, I guess I was. He kept glancing at me in the rearview mirror like he wanted to ask questions but didn't know how. "Where to, kiddo?" he asked when I got in. "The Target on 5th Street, I said. "I need to talk to my manager." Best decision I ever made. My manager, Jessica, was this total boss lady in her 30s who'd worked her way up from cashier to assistant store manager. When I explained my situation, she didn't judge or lecture me, just listened, nodded, and then picked up her phone. "I've got a couch you can crash on for a few days," she said after hanging up. "My roommate just moved out, so it's just me and my cat right now. But here's the deal. You pull your weight, you respect my space, and you save every penny you can to get your own place. Deal?" Deal. For real, Jessica saved my life that day. Living on someone's couch isn't exactly glamorous, but it beat going back home with my tail between my legs. Jessica's apartment was this tiny one-bedroom place above a pizza shop, and it smelled like pepperoni 24/7. But it was clean, safe, and nobody was telling me I was stupid for wanting more out of life. Jessica became like the big sister I never had. She taught me how to budget, how to look for apartments, how to negotiate with landlords. She even helped me sign up for classes at the community college. Turns out there was this whole world of grants and financial aid that my parents never bothered to tell me about. Within 3 months, I had my own studio apartment. Nothing fancy, just 4 walls, a kitchenette, and a bathroom the size of a closet. But it was mine. I worked my Target shifts, went to classes, and slowly started building the life I wanted. College was harder than I expected, not gonna lie. Trying to balance full-time work with a full course load was brutal. There were nights I'd come home from an 8-hour shift and still have 3 hours of homework ahead of me. I lived on ramen, noodles, and whatever expired stuff I could get from the Target deli for like 2 years straight. But you know what? I loved every minute of it. For the first time in my life, I was making my own decisions. I could study whatever I wanted, eat whatever I wanted, watch whatever I wanted on TV. Nobody was there to tell me I was wasting my time or that I should be focused on finding a husband instead. My parents didn't try to contact me for the first year, not once. I used to check my phone obsessively, thinking maybe they'd call to apologize or at least ask how I was doing, but nothing. It hurt, but it also made me more determined to prove them wrong. I threw myself into school and work with everything I had. Made friends with my classmates, started dating this guy from my accounting class, joined the business club. Slowly but surely, I was building a real life for myself. The breakthrough came during my second year when I got promoted to team lead at Target. It wasn't much, just $1 more per hour and some extra responsibilities, but it felt huge. Like proof that I was capable of more than my parents ever gave me credit for. That's when I decided to start my own little side business. Nothing major, just buying stuff from garage sales and thrift stores and flipping it online. Vintage clothes, old electronics, random collectibles. I had a good eye for what would sell, and pretty soon I was making an extra few $100. A month update. Okay, you guys are amazing. The support in these comments is honestly making me tear up a little. A lot of you are asking about the business and whether I'm still doing it. Spoiler alert, it grows into something way bigger than I ever imagined. But first, let me tell you about the phone call that changed everything. Should I skip ahead to the part where they finally tracked me down, or do you want to hear about how I met the love of my life at a yard sale? By my 3rd year of college, things were really clicking. I'd transferred to a 4-year university, was majoring in business administration, and my little side hustle was bringing in serious money. Like, enough to quit Target and focus on school full-time serious. The business thing started small, but it had this way of snowballing. I'd find a vintage band t-shirt at Goodwill for $3 and sell it online for $30. Score a box of old video games at an estate sale and flip them individually for 10 times what I paid. It was like a treasure hunt, and I was getting good at it. That's actually how I met my boyfriend. I was at this massive yard sale in the suburbs, digging through a box of old electronics, when this guy walks up and starts looking at the same stuff. He picks up this ancient Game Boy and starts laughing. "My little brother had one of these," he said, "drove me crazy with that stupid Tetris music. These are worth like $80 online," I told him, "especially if you've got the original box." He looked at me like I'd just spoken in another language. Seriously? For this old thing? That's how I met Tyler. Turns out he was a computer science major at the same university, just from a different campus. We started talking, I taught him a few things about flipping stuff online, and he taught me about the tech side of running an online business. Within 6 months, we were basically running the operation together. He built me a real website, helped me set up social media accounts, figured out all the shipping logistics. I handled the buying and selling, he handled the tech stuff. It was perfect. By the time I graduated, with honors, thank you very much, we were pulling in enough money to open an actual store. Nothing huge, just a little shop in the downtown area that specialized in vintage clothes and collectibles. But it was ours, and it was successful. I still remember the day we signed the lease. Tyler and I standing in this empty storefront, looking around at what would become our first real business. I called my old manager, Jessica, to share the news, and she started crying right there on the phone. "I'm so proud of you," she said. "Your parents have no idea what they threw away." My parents. I hadn't thought about them in months at that point. 5 years had passed since I'd left home, and I'd built this whole life without them. I had my own business, a great relationship, friends who actually supported me. Their opinion didn't matter anymore, or at least that's what I told myself. The store took off faster than we expected. Turns out there was a huge market for the kind of stuff we were selling. College kids loved the vintage band tees, young professionals were buying up the retro home decor, and collectors were always hunting for rare finds. Within a year, we'd expanded to twice the space and hired 2 part-time employees. Tyler proposed on our second anniversary. Nothing fancy, just the two of us in the back room of the store after closing time, surrounded by boxes of inventory and empty coffee cups. He got down on one knee right there between a rack of 1980s leather jackets and a display case full of vintage watches. "We built this together," he said, holding up a ring that probably cost him 3 months of profits. "I want to build everything else together too." I said yes, obviously. How could I not? This guy had believed in me and my crazy business ideas from day one. He'd worked 16-hour days right alongside me, celebrated every small victory, and never once made me feel like my dreams were too big or too unrealistic. We got married the next spring in a small ceremony at the local park. Jessica was my maid of honor, Tyler's college buddies were groomsmen, and about 50 of our friends and customers showed up to celebrate with us. It was perfect, simple, honest, and full of people who actually cared about us. No family from my side, though. I'd sent my parents an invitation, more out of obligation than anything else. Never heard back. Part of me was relieved, honestly. I didn't want their drama ruining my perfect day. The business kept growing. We opened a second location, then started selling online nationally. By year 5, we had employees in 3 states, and were making more money than I'd ever dreamed possible. Tyler and I bought a house. Nothing crazy, just a nice little place with a yard and room for the kids we were planning to have someday. Life was good, better than good. I had everything I'd ever wanted and more. A loving husband, a successful business, financial security, real friends. I'd proved my parents wrong in every possible way, which is probably why it hurt so much when they finally decided to reach out. Update, this is it, guys, the moment you've all been waiting for. 9 years after walking out that door, my phone started ringing. But here's the thing that's been eating at me. They didn't just call once. They called 17 times in one day. 17. And what they wanted? Well, let's just say karma has a funny way of coming back around. Ready for the final part? It was a Tuesday morning in March when my phone started going crazy. I was at the store going through inventory with our newest employee when it started buzzing every few minutes. Unknown number, but the area code looked familiar. I ignored it the first few times, probably a telemarketer or something. But after the 10th call, I started getting curious and a little annoyed. "Just answer it," Tyler said, looking up from the computer where he was updating our website. "If it's spam, at least you can block the number." So I did. "Hello?" Silence for a few seconds, then, "Oh my God, is this really you?" I knew that voice. Even after 9 years, I knew that voice. "Mom?" Yes, it's me. "Oh, honey, we've been trying to find you for so long. Your father and we've been searching everywhere." I hung up, just like that, clicked the end call button and stared at my phone like it was a snake that might bite me. It rang again immediately. "Don't hang up." Mom's voice was urgent now. "Please, we need to talk to you. It's important." Important? I couldn't keep the sarcasm out of my voice. After 9 years, now it's important? You have to understand, we made mistakes. We were young and stupid, and we thought we were doing what was best for you. By kicking me out, by telling me I'd come crawling back? Yeah, that sounds like what was best for me. We know we hurt you. We know we were wrong. But please, just give us a chance to explain. We're your parents. We love you. I hung up again, but they kept calling, over and over. Sometimes Mom, sometimes Dad, sometimes both of them on speakerphone. Each call was basically the same. Apologies, explanations, pleas for forgiveness. They'd made mistakes. They were sorry. They wanted their daughter back. The thing is, I wasn't their daughter anymore. I was a successful business owner, a married woman, someone who'd built a life completely independent of them. Their approval or disapproval meant nothing to me now. But I was curious. After 9 years of radio silence, why now? What had changed? I finally answered that question when I called my old high school friend Sarah, who still lived in my hometown. We'd kept in touch on social media, so she knew about my success, but she also knew all the local gossip. "Your parents have been asking about you for months," she told me. "Ever since the newspaper did that article about your business expansion. Someone showed it to your mom at the grocery store, and she's been obsessed ever since." There it was. They'd seen the article about my success and suddenly wanted back in my life. How convenient. "There's more," Sarah continued. "Your dad's been out of work for like 2 years now. The plant closed down, and at his age, nobody's hiring. Your mom's working part-time at the dollar store, but it's not enough. They're about to lose the house." Everything clicked into place. They weren't calling because they missed me, or because they realized they'd made a mistake. They were calling because they needed money, because their successful daughter might be willing to help them out of their financial mess. The next time they called, I was ready. "What do you want?" I asked, not bothering with pleasantries. "We want to see you," Dad said. His voice sounded older, more tired than I remembered. "We want to apologize in person. We want to be a family again." "Cut the garbage, Dad. I know about the house. I know about your job. I know exactly why you're calling now." Silence. "Sarah told me everything," I continued. "You're broke. You're about to lose everything. And now you want to reconnect with the daughter you threw away. How's that for irony?" "It's not like that." Mom jumped in. "Yes, we're having financial troubles, but that's not why we called. We've been regretting what we did for years. The newspaper article just helped us find you." "Right. And I'm supposed to believe that you've been looking for me all this time? You couldn't pick up the phone 5 years ago? 3 years ago? You had to wait until you were desperate?" More silence. "Look," I said, and I could hear my own voice getting stronger. "I'm glad you called. Not because I want to reconcile, but because I want you to know something. Remember what you said when you kicked me out? That I'd come crawling back? That I'd beg you to take me back? Honey, we were angry. We didn't mean. I want you to know that you were wrong. About everything. I didn't come crawling back. I built a life. I got married. I own 2 successful businesses. I have a house, friends, a future. Everything you said I'd never have. I could hear Mom crying now, and I want you to know, I continued, that I did it all without you. Every success, every achievement, every happy moment. None of it involved you. You threw me away like garbage, and I became gold. Please, Dad's voice was barely a whisper. We're your parents. We made mistakes, but we're still your family. No, I said, and I meant it. You stopped being my family the day you chose your pride over your daughter. You made your choice 9 years ago. Now I'm making mine. I hung up and blocked both their numbers. Tyler found me in the back room 20 minutes later, sitting on a box of inventory and staring at my phone. You okay? He asked, settling down beside me. They called because they're broke, I told him. Not because they miss me. Not because they realize they were wrong. Because they need money. He put his arm around me. I'm sorry. That sucks. You know what the crazy thing is? Part of me actually feels bad for them, like they're struggling and I could help if I wanted to. But then I remember that 17-year-old girl standing in their kitchen begging them to believe in her, and I can't. You don't owe them anything, Tyler said. They made their choice. I know, it's just weird, you know? All these years I wondered if they ever thought about me, if they ever regretted what they did. Now I know they only care because they think I can solve their problems. My phone buzzed with a text from an unknown number, probably them trying to get around the block. We raised you better than this. Family helps family. Don't let pride destroy what we could have. I showed Tyler the message. He shook his head. Want me to respond? He asked. No, I've got this. I typed back. You didn't raise me at all. I raised myself. And the family that helped me wasn't you. It was the people who believed in me when you didn't. Good luck with your problems. You'll figure it out. You're resourceful people. Then I blocked that number too. It's been 6 months since then, and they haven't tried to contact me again. Maybe they finally got the message. Maybe they found another solution to their money problems. Maybe they realize that burning bridges has consequences. I won't lie and say it doesn't still hurt sometimes. There's a part of me that wishes things had been different, that my parents had been the kind of people who supported their daughters' dreams even when they didn't understand them. But that's not the reality I got. The reality I got was better. I got to become exactly who I wanted to be, without anyone telling me I wasn't good enough or smart enough or pretty enough. I got to build something real with someone who loves me for who I am, not who he thinks I should be. Last month, Tyler and I found out we're having a baby, a little girl due in December. We've been talking about names, setting up the nursery, planning for all the ways our lives are about to change, and I've been thinking about the kind of parent I want to be, the kind who believes in her daughter's dreams, even when they seem impossible, the kind who supports her choices, even when they're different from what I might have chosen, the kind who never ever makes love conditional on obedience. Jessica is going to be the godmother. She's already planning shopping trips and talking about teaching the baby how to spot valuable vintage finds. Tyler's parents are over the moon. They're going to be amazing grandparents. My parents will never know their granddaughter. That's their loss, not mine. They had their chance to be part of our family and they chose to throw it away twice. But that's okay. This little girl is going to grow up surrounded by people who love her unconditionally, who believe in her potential, who will never make her feel like she has to choose between their approval and her dreams. She's going to know that she's valuable, just as she is, that her worth isn't tied to who she marries or what other people think of her choices. She's going to know that family isn't just about blood, it's about the people who show up for you, who support you, who celebrate your victories and help you through your failures. Most importantly, she's going to know that sometimes the best thing you can do is walk away from people who don't value you, even if they share your DNA. That it's okay to build your own family, your own life, your own version of success. My parents thought they were teaching me a lesson when they kicked me out. They were right about that part. They did teach me something important. They taught me that I was stronger than I ever knew, that I could survive anything, build anything, become anything I set my mind to. They taught me the difference between people who love you and people who only want to control you. Most of all, they taught me that sometimes the best gift someone can give you is showing you exactly who they are, so you can decide whether or not they deserve a place in your life. 9. Years later, I'm grateful for that lesson. I'm grateful for every struggle, every lonely night, every moment of doubt that led me to where I am now. I'm grateful for the family I chose and the life I built. And I'm grateful that when my daughter asks me about her grandparents someday, I'll be able to tell her that some people aren't worth knowing, but that doesn't mean you're not worth everything.